Playing this game, it's insane. The one who got you booked is probably your main. A game of fame, every man for himself. Personal gain, monetary wealth. Looking at a stretch, a nickel, maybe more. The homie gave you up, staying free for sure. Getting to the top, being in charge. Once a foot soldier, now sarge. Moving up the ranks, wanna be top dog. Putting in the work, no loyalty log. No remorse, what they want is status. Wetting up bodies, messy bad habits. Messy bad habits. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. Calling him brother. Holes in your pockets, but theirs are full. Your family's without you. Your woman they pull. Low down and dirty, this game you play. You learn the truth when you go away. Books empty, bills behind your back. They plotting, soon she'll be mine. You was down to what it was. Better I have her now. Calls for dogs, friends to the end. Chucky, no dogs running here. Puppy, street life is mucky. Getting through each day is lucky. It's just what you really strove for. To the ground you dove for. Stick up boys, they come for. Shots fired, homie made more. Homie made more. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. Calling him brother. Want fame and fortune, even glory at the end of this game. Just another yard story. Bunky, flunky, canteen junkie, mule, a donkey. Just another research monkey. Make a decision, life or death. What's your vision? Having faith or vest? Chasing paper was the mission. Now it's 6x6 you live in. Liberties you're missing. All the time you've done. No woman's flesh to feel. Get out your sock, pull your gun. Your life is what you make it. Quit the game, be free. Be true to yourself, not your enemy. Not your enemy. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. Calling him brother. Calling him brother. Calling him brother. You say the streets are yours, house that's so. When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. Calling him brother. Playing this game, it's insane. The one who got your book is probably your main. A game of fame, every man for himself. Personal gain, monetary wealth. Looking at a stretch, a nickel, maybe more. The homie gave you up, staying free for sure. Getting to the top, being in charge. Once a foot soldier, now sarge. Moving up the ranks, wanna be top dog. Putting in the work, no loyalty log. No remorse, what they want is status. Wetting up bodies, messy bad habits. Messy bad habits. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day calling him brother.
would you do with an extra $650? You can earn up to $650 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 6.5% annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000.
Don't know where that one came from, but let's go on and get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. And live, as you can see, we are. Yes, we are. Um, so Facebook made some changes to being able to live stream from the particular platform that I am on. This platform is StreamYard, and it allows me to um connect with several different platforms at one time. So as of August, I believe this says August 10th, uh, Facebook made changes. So I have to go back and find out what these changes are because even last week I was able to stream to Facebook, but for some reason this morning I am unable to do that. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, excuse me. Facebook made a change on June 10th that limits some pages from going live. Um, and so some of my pages happen to be the pages. Not sure why it's happening this week and it didn't happen last week, but it has happened. So that's part of the challenge that I had this morning with trying to get things going live. And whoop, there we go. So yes, listen. So yeah, so we are Sabir Aline page. We're actually live. For some reason, my daddy's right here page is not live. But you know what? I've had quite an eventful morning. Pretty much been up on and off all night working on a new collection, the Rose collection. And hey, let's back up for a minute. Hey, good morning, y'all. What's happening? What's going on? This is your man Shabir Aleem, and welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. And you know, everything happens when you're live. It's always a hot mic. So anything that's said, I stand by. So just remember that. So I'm not hiding behind anything. None of this is edited out. You are getting me just as I am. Yeah, so I was up all night and I was putting together a new collection, the Rose collection, which is an all gold featured collection for the works that we have at our site, aleanforyou.net. So if you haven't been to aleanforyou.net, let's get to it, right? Let's get to it. Please go onto the website, check out what we have going on. Uh, We've made changes. There's no longer a leanforyou.com, no more a leanforyou.etsy.com. It's all a leanforyou.net. Yeah, dresses, shirts, skirts, tote bags, fully covered tote bags, not just the tote bags with the image onto it, placed onto it in the square shape or round shape, whatever the shape is. This is an entirely covered tote bag, right? Backpacks, shower curtains, throw blankets, you name it, it's there. It's there. But I was up all night putting together 12 new pieces to go into the Rose collection. And my computer went out on me, and it went out on me right in the midst of me saving it. So usually it'll save and recover. In this instance, I was in the process of saving. So when the system shut down, I couldn't even save it. So I've been flustered about that all morning. I'm still in my head about that this morning because it just happened an hour ago. So I'm still in my head about that, man. And yeah, I'm like, so now what I ultimately have to do is go back into the system and start all over again. Yeah, got to do all of them all over again. I'm going to make every effort at recreating the ones that I can recall, and I'm going to get that done right after the show, and just still try to make sure I have time in between that to rest up because we have a family outing this afternoon and I want to make sure I'm rested and can participate in that function, because you got to participate, man. No matter how many things I do, there's things that I'm obligated to do, and the family, is part of that obligation. So you got to set aside that time, man. But I am just done, because I'm up all night, doing it, man. I got my glasses on, so you can't see the bags that easy under my eyes, but they're there, man. I can go shopping. Yeah, I can go shopping. I can do some serious shopping with the bags I got under my eyes. But commitment is commitment. And when you're doing things, right, that have other people in mind, you're being selfless. That's a good thing. So I'm drained and wore out. Just went and fixed me a cup of coffee. I don't have one of my Lean for You designs on this morning because it just didn't have time. But I got the mug. I got the mug. Yeah, I got the mug right here. A Lean mug. You can go to the site and you can get yourself a mug. I'm going to be adding more pictures to the site as well. So that way you get an idea of what you're getting when you click on the picture. Because they're just the images. It's not, I don't have the merchandise, the apparel on the site. It's a matter of you click on the picture and it takes you right to our product line. So each picture can be found on items. And there's like 50, 60 items that each one of these pictures can be found on. So if you're just looking for a shirt and cap to match and you're heading on out, right, you got the shirt and cap. What I'm working on now is the bags to go with the dresses, to go with the skirts, to go with your whole hookup. So you can get a whole set, an entire set. That's the idea here, for you to be able to go ahead in there and listen. You're going to spend for several items, maybe $100. You can probably, the dresses are running right now. They're on sales about, I think, like 30 something percent off. You can get the dress for about $31. You figure if you're not going to a club or something like that, you can get one of the fully covered totes, load that up, going out. It's a bag. It's an out and about bag. It's not something, not a bag that a woman's going to carry to a party, something like that. Well, some do, depending on who you are, how you build. I don't know, but I'm working on those bags. I thought I had the car seat covers. The car seat covers. The partner for that does not connect to my website. Yeah, and it doesn't connect to the Etsy website because we're still connected in some capacity to Etsy. Like right now, you can find Christmas cards on Etsy that we're putting out. Yeah, we got some holiday cards out there on Etsy. You can print it out. You can make wraps. You can make your own cards out of it. There will be cards available on the site, but you can print it, download it yourself on a color printer, man, and go ahead and make yourself some paper for the holiday. So for those of you who are doing sublimation, you're doing, DTG, whatever it is that you're doing, it only costs you a couple of dollars. I think right now the upload is $2.99. For the holiday prints, you can go ahead, print those out, make your own stuff up, man, and go ahead. Listen, understand this, that what you print out from our website, you won't find anywhere else. You won't find anywhere else. So this will make you more competitive because what you're seeing, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of people doing the tumblers anymore on Instagram. I've been looking at the feed, and that pretty much has dwindled out now with other stuff. But if you get these prints, you have a better shot at sales, an increased shot at sales, and it's only costing you $2.99 for the printout. So go ahead and print out all 7, right? What's 3 times 7? 21, right? There's no shipping and handling. You go ahead and you pay for it, and you print it right on out, and you go to work. Go ahead and get your stuff set up and rock and roll. It's the holiday season, right? It's a good time right now to get started because people are buying their gifts. They're looking for unique items to have, low cost, inexpensive items, but things that are quality in what they look like, quality in the way they feel. That's what you're going to get from us at aleemforyou.net. That's what you're going to get, man. Right? So that's the focus. The focus is on giving you things that you will not, I repeat, that you will not find anywhere else. You're getting the items directly from the designer. From the designer. I am not the middleman. Aleem for You is not the middleman for anyone. Everything you get from us has been designed by us. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Here in Florida, it's nice all year round, right? Cali, some of those places where it's like always summertime, those dresses will be perfectly on time. In other weathers, we also have tights. So you can get some tights to go under that dress in the cooler weather, like in the fall, right? And you can put your tights on to go with your dress. You can get your bag. If you into wearing caps, we got the ponytail caps. You can go ahead and throw your ponytail, put your cap on, and be matched. Less than $100. That's the idea. Less than $100. Like I said, the dress right now is running about $30, $31, $32. Go ahead and hook it up. I'm working on shoes and working on sneakers, working on all of those things to be connected to the site. But right now, shirts, skirts, shirts, different types of shirts, cropped shirts, the t-shirt dresses, the A-frame, A-line, A-frame dresses, those there. Listen, front and back, fully covered, fully designed. These are not just designs that have something that's plastered across the front. They're not just plastered across the front. We have t-shirts and things in there that have that. Listen, working on collared shirts so the brothers can put on the shirts and wear shirts with those designs. Throw on a pair of jeans, nice fly sneakers, get the cap, you're good to go. You're good to go. And it's cost efficient because we're cost effective in how we're going about putting this merchandise out. So it's taken a lot of research and continues to take a lot of research on who does what, how it's done, the quality of the merch. We have to do all of those things. We have to do all of those things. That way we can all be happy because that's what it comes down to, making everyone happy. Yeah, but I am just not a happy camper this morning. Losing 12 intricately designed pieces. It is what it is. It is what it is. You can't worry about it. You can't stay up in your head about it long. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. But it's like, when it comes time to letting things go, you have to look at how do you let things go? How do you move on past things? What is it, that you do to get out of that place? Because it's easy to stay in that place. It's easy to stay in that feeling. Sometimes it feels good depending on what space you're already in. So you want to be down on yourself. You're depressed. And that's one of those things that's going on with you today. And then something else negative happens and it just weighs on you. It just weighs on you. And you stay stuck in it, right? See, when you have obligations, you can't just stay stuck because you have other people who you are responsible to. I couldn't stay stuck in that space. I could have just said, "Hey, I'm not doing the show this morning." And stay in my head and stay ride on that pity pot and ride on that, and just that's where I want to be, right? You want to be there. It's a choice. I choose not to be in those spaces, not to remain in those spaces. I need to feel what I'm feeling. But if I stay there, I can't be productive. And right now, I just have to contain all that I did and go back to it. But if I stay angry, if I stay frustrated, I'll get none of that done. I'll sit there in front of the computer and just stay in my head about the fact that I lost all of it. But what is the go-to source? that you have. You're like, when you want to, free yourself of things, what is the go-to source that you have? How do you move past things in your life? A lot of people say, hey, first thing I do is I just give it to God. I give it to God. And that sounds real cliche. I need to say that. It's a cliche for a lot of people to say, what they give to God, what they don't give to God. You know, and when they give it to God, they let God. They said they're going to let God handle it, but then they're handling it themselves, because if you're not in alignment with God in whatever aspect, whether it's from a spiritual aspect or a religious aspect, if you're not, if you're not moving towards that alignment, you're going to always rely upon what you know, what you're conditioned to do, what you've been doing all of your life, but still, you know, uh, regurgitating scripture and things of that nature, knowing that you really haven't connected. It just sounds real good, but you're not living that way. You're not living that way. You know, Jesus knew all the while who his betrayer was going to be. He knew that. But he didn't change how he dealt with Judas. He didn't change. He stayed the course. And that's one of the things that we need to start looking at when we're reading scripture, no matter what it is, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, other material, you need to look at what are you actually grasping other than an academic understanding of a thing. You really need to ask yourself that, because a lot of people say, "Well, I'm just going to let it go," and then minutes later, they're acting off of the emotion attached to that event that just happened. So, what does letting go look like? Right? I understand letting go was a process. Yeah, it is. Right? But when do you process the process, and how long do you process the process? How long does it take you to get to the process of letting it go? Huh? How long? Because the other part to all of this is that an understanding spirituality, religion, the struggle that continues to go on inside of you, right? There's a lot of research that suggests, that supports the mental and physical ramifications, right? That they both can have upon you if you're only taking it from an intellectual perspective and not from what exactly the content is. You're getting an intellectual understanding, an intellectual relationship with those items, with those things. But when you're performing the actions, are you actually experiencing it as it should be? Or are you still in your mind, all up in your head? So the article I want to talk about today is by Andy Tix, PhD. It's on spirituality. 6 ways to cope with religious and spiritual struggles. Religious stress can severely impair mental and physical health. Let me say this again. Religious. See, that's what happens. You have the overbite. It sounds like you try to put your teeth together and enunciate. Religious stress can severely impair mental and physical health. We're going to go to some of the key points that this article is going to address, that we're going to talk about today. Key point number 1. Research suggests how religious and spiritual struggles predict poorer mental and physical health. Yeah. Number 2. Experiencing religious and spiritual struggles may also underlie what many people disengage from religion. Let me say that again. Experiencing religious and spiritual struggles may also underlie why many people disengage from a religion. Bullet number 3. There are helpful strategies to cope, such as interrogating your experience and seeking support. Yeah. And that's where I'm at in my life. And I guess it's been about 3 years, maybe 4 years now, uh, since I have disengaged from the dogma of religion, because there were a lot of reasons. The biggest reasons for me were the inconsistencies of the text. It left too many questions. I found more questions than answers. And when I started finding more questions than answers, yeah, I took him somewhere. I went to class, right? Um, I was attending Islamic studies at the masjid in Philadelphia under Imam Abdul Alim, and very very scholarly. Has traveled abroad, has met with other scholars, uh, and uh, guided uh, via the leadership of Wallace D. Muhammad. May the blessings of Allah and peace be upon him. So I experienced learning different. Uh, how do I say this? Different sects of Islam. Um, I learned initially in 1988. It was the Nation of Islam. Learning that. Uh, uh, Learning religion from that aspect, and it was, for me at that time, it was more about empowerment as a black man, taking responsibility and ownership for the life that I was living, the life that I chose to live, and how I needed to get back on track because I could. Because at that time I was in the condition that um, I would always be as such, that this is what life was going to be, because I was in the blame stage of life, holding others responsible for my condition when it was my decisions that put me in the particular situations that I was in, right, wrong, or indifferent. I was responsible 100%. 100%. I knew right from wrong. Nobody had to tell me that because I had already learned that. So when I came into early adulthood, when I came into middle adulthood, I already knew that what I was doing was not going to get the outcome, the desired outcome. Uh, but I kept going anyway. And that's one of the things that you have to look at um, when making decisions about things. Continuing to do those things in spite of the consequences. You know what the consequences are going to be. So that's when the Nation of Islam's platform of learning became significant to me. I went to hear Minister Farrakhan. It was in 1980, was 80, 88, 1987, 88. I went to hear Minister Farrakhan at the Civic Center. For those of you from Philadelphia, y'all remember the Civic Center. And I went there, and and even in going into the center, there was a process of learning, standing in line, first thing, and being orderly was something that was what the environment required of you. So there was a level of discipline even entering the building, the conduct, even entering the building, right? Coming through, being pat down. And you know how we feel about being pat down. You go to the club and they pat you down and all that kind of stuff. That came years, towards the end of my insanity. But, oh, man, what you doing, man? But no qualms about it. You didn't smell weed. You didn't hear a whole bunch of profanity. You ain't hear none of that in line, waiting to get in. We're talking about thousands of people gathering into one place. You go through, you get pat down, you got cigarettes on you, you got to go. Anything that the nation has established as being not good for us had to go. Obviously, no weapons, but cigarettes. I had a whole pack of Newports, man. I already know I couldn't smoke in the building, but they took them. So when you came in and you being searched, you look over against the wall, and you got like packs and packs of cigarettes, right? So that was a learning process in itself. But when I was sitting there, and the brother who took me, I haven't seen him in ages. He just asked me one day, "See, listen, I'm going to see the minister. You want to go?" I said, "Yeah." And I went and I sat there and I was excited, but I was intellectually excited. I wasn't excited within my spirit, at all. No capacity. Intellectual. I've heard him speak. Now I'm going to hear him speak. And it was mind blowing, man, because I sat there and it felt like he was talking to me. And my eyes started welling up, and the more he spoke, man, I began to cry, and I tried to, restrain myself from being, overly expressive, but I had tears in my eyes, man. I felt the tremble within my spirit, man. And I started, it was started then, and I was still living the life that I was living, but I kept reading. So the brother also gave me a Quran, the same one that took me to see the minister, and I started reading the Quran. And I was reading Quran and getting high, but I was on my way. So there are a lot of now. Somebody has already said after I said it, "Damn, bro, that's that's forbidden. The shirt, that's blasphemous." Okay, again. Just struggle with religion and this struggle with spirituality. Knowing within yourself there's a need, not knowing what that need is, and believing initially that a religion was the need. It's power in words, but you got to have the seed planted, and you got to water it. And with what took place with the minister speaking and what I followed up with, because this is important. And this is where a lot of people are lacking with what the minister talked about and my spiritual upheaval. I followed up with reading the Quran. Yeah. I followed up with reading the Quran. You understand? So that was the watering process. And for me, that watering process was working, unbeknownst to me. Because my mind was still connected to another lifestyle. But my spirit had been shook, had been awakened. And I began to learn, and I began to read, and I began to internalize, and I began to understand some things, and I began to see some things. And what I was seeing was man's condition, mankind's condition. Right? For those of you who, think I'm being, what's it called? Well, I'm like being excluding women. Mankind includes women. Just for those of you who don't know, it includes women. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. I'm just saying that mankind is what it is. It's mankind, right? But I started learning some things, seeing some things, and hearing some things about, what was said to them for doing these particular things, and what kind of things that I needed to stop doing and start doing more of. And I start listening to the disciplines, the content of the ministers' speeches, and being with being with the brothers, and having sit downs, and learning some things. Had a brother who lived across the street, who was actually a Hebrew Israelite, who actually hipped me to the nation, because that was part of his process as well. But so it was a lot of things that I started learning about myself. Um, it wasn't until like 94. It was 94. I forget when I took my Shahada. I still have the signed document from the Imam. Um, but I took my Shahada at some point. And then it was around 94, 95 when I went to the masjid for the first time. Yeah. I had gotten myself finally on track, away from the street thing. And one of the brothers that I had met through the recovery process was Muslim. For his whole family had been Muslim for years. He had been Muslim for some time, and he was also on parole for 25 years, in which he eventually walked off. But he too has passed, and may Allah you know grant him paradise. But it was a matter of us. But I've never been to the masjid. I've been to the mosque a couple of times. Most of my interactions, with the nation was with other Muslims that were members of the nation. One of my childhood friends, still with the nation. Um, but I finally went to the masjid, and when I went to the masjid, that's when I began to getting an understanding of the religion of Al Islam from the perspective of the Honorable Wallace D. Muhammad. May Allah, uh, you know, uh, grant him paradise as well, and may peace and blessings continue to be upon him. I had the opportunity to go to where were we at? New York. We were up the street from the masjid that Malcolm attended. I forget the name of the masjid, but anyway, went to see him there. Very gentle, soft-spoken brother. Told it like it was. I began to see it. Understand about the wearing the kufi and the izar and the jalabiyah, and all the other things. And we how we were, he said, y'all look like clowns coming here. You look like you're made up. You're coming and you're wearing this and you're wearing that. All these things don't make you Muslim. And this, and getting an understanding of uh, the black Muslim in North America, and beginning to see things through a different lens of like, you doing all these things, and all these things don't make you Muslim, right? So I began to read the Quran more. Then I started taking Islamic study classes, and one of the things I liked about learning under Imam Abdul Alim was uh, he did the I guess what do you call it, the oratory part of it. He went through the Quran and he talked about various ayahs, and the usage of supplemental reading. I refer to them as supplemental reading because the Quran is it. The Hadith and all those other things, are outside of that. So the focus for me became on the Quran. Uh, People beg to differ on that, and that's another struggle with religion. Brother, your foot's not supposed. Well, Allah won't accept that prayer because your foot was not right. Well, you may will do, but you skip one that Allah is not going to. But in the same breath, well, Allah recognizes your intent. He knows your intention. He knows all. He's the knower of all, right? So how do you say on one hand, well, if you do this, that this is not going to be accepted, but then he knows what's in my heart. He knows my intentions, but you tell me as a member that this is, so all that kind of dialogue, all those kind of things, uh, going on, man, it just became more of a turn off. When I started getting my life right, that was one of the other things that happened to me. Um, the whole 12-step process, it works, plain and simple. It works, but the congregational aspect of it, the fellowship aspect of it, is something that's a big turnoff for me, because people think because you are under the umbrella of that congregation, that ummah, that fellowship, whatnot, that they gives them carte blanche of a sort to engage in your life any way that they choose to, when they choose to, and make whatever remarks, because they feel like that they are contributing to your growth when they lack in their own. And that's the part that they actually are missing. So, but under Imam Abdul Alim, I learned a lot of things, and I read. And he had us read and then come back the following week and talk about our learnings, our understanding, our interpretation, and would never say, no, that's wrong. Would never say that's wrong. There would be himself and or others in the classroom who were learning, who would share some of the things that they knew and that they know and how it worked on for them. So you understand what I'm saying? But he was my focal point, because he was the leader of the class, and that's where my direction came from. But it was always a matter of learning and getting an understanding and internalizing and interpreting based on what's befitting for you. What's befitting for you. If that's your understanding, that's your understanding. That's working for you. As you continue to read, which is the requirement for the Muslim every year during Ramadan, to read the Quran, a 30th a day. And I've gotten through reading the entire Quran on quite a few Ramadan periods, but I have read the entire Quran, and it's the learnings. The learnings from the Quran solidified some of the questions that I had about other religions. And what I mean by solidified is I had questions on other religions, and I began to see that the I saw the understanding of how the Quran encompasses all the books, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final prophet. That there won't be anybody else coming after him. That's the last messenger of God. Therefore, he was the seal. He is the seal of the prophets. That's it. That's it. But I learned the significance of being a believer in all the books, in God, his angels, his messengers, his books, the afterlife. So I look at all of those things as the foundation, the pillars of living. So to see non-Muslims, to be around non-Muslims, there's nothing in there that tells me that I need to be disrespectful towards others. How can I be disrespectful towards them because they don't practice from the Quran, my initial learnings of Quran when in fact they're believers of the book. But somebody will beg to differ. That's fine. What I'm trying to get people to understand here in my talk now is that that's not true. And that's why it's important that we read for ourselves and stop allowing other people to dictate to us what we ourselves have read and internalized. And you come along and you read it to us and internalize it from your condition and then say that is it. That's not it. That's it for you. But because it's not it for me too, which is the theme that we have in society as a whole, even when it comes down to who to vote for president, we won't have that conversation today. But that's not true. There's nothing in any book that you're going to tell me says such. There's nothing in there says such. So it became a matter of seeing all of these things, man. You know, throughout the years, I've had interaction with Catholicism. Had a family member who's Catholic, right? Had experience going to the Catholic Church, right? That whole experience, what that was like. Uh, what's the other one? Jehovah Witness. Had experience with that, right? Had experience with, well, Baptist, Christian, you know, the different denominations, you know, that stomp your feet dancing, certain gear, you got to wear this certain gear or you're not. Yeah, you know, all of those things. I've had experience with that. I've learned. And what is more off-putting to me is when so-called religious leaders, and this is to all the pastors and the ministers, you know, when, and I'm talking about from all perspectives, that if you are a learned person, doctorately educated on theological studies, you had the requirement. You had the requirement through those studies to look at all religions. How can you defend that which you profess without having that knowledge? See, but yet continue to be divisive in your talk to your congregation. That doesn't work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Again, another reason for people to abandon. What do they have it here? Disengage from religion. So that's another reason, right? And those things have to be looked at. We can spend all day long talking about how well Christianity was given by the slave master to the slave for this reason, that reason. That's not going to change anything. That's not going to change anything. When you don't have anything to replace it with, when you don't have any place for me to go, telling me this is not for me. That this was given to the blacks. This was given to slaves as a means to continue to keep them in an oppressive state. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't feel oppressed. I might be depressed some days, but I don't feel oppressed. Is there a need for things to change in society? Absolutely. Am I tired of some of the stuff that continues to happen in society? Absolutely. But have I been able to achieve my desirable goals? Absolutely. And when I wasn't in the mode of achieving, it's because I was in my own way. See, when we start looking at the mental health, when we start looking at the aspect of religion and spirituality and the impact, the negative impact it has upon one's mental health, this is a great part of it. the misinformation. And what's even more of a challenge, for so many people, as you know that none of these people who are talked about in any of these books have ever been found? I'm serious. You found Tyrannosaurus Rex. You found King Tutankhamun. You found all of these things before, but you haven't found. And you can go into periods and all this other stuff. What I'm saying to you is, we have not found anybody. Nobody. And any of these books that have been written have been found. We clearly have a description of Jesus. But how many still hang pictures, images that don't look like even the description that is written? I'm talking about every religion. None of the prophets have ever been unearthed. Again, when you're going to something that's supposed to give you answers, and you find yourself coming away with more questions, that's a problem for me. I don't know about anybody else, but the research is suggesting that there's things regarding religion and spirituality that have caused people to deviate from, to disengage from religion. So don't make your argument with me. Make your argument with research, but more importantly, make your argument with yourself. If I go to my wife and I ask her, babe, how do I do such and such with the sublimation thing? I go to her because I know that she knows, because she's done it. If I go to her and she says, I don't know, I haven't done that yet, then what do I have to do? Do I stand there and debate with her like, well, why don't you know that? You're the sublimation queen. Why don't you know that? Then I have to go to another source, right? But in order to get where I'm trying to go, it's usually more than one source that I have to go to. So I joined the Facebook page of sublimation users, people who do it, right? And I look at all the different responses that people get. Some agree, some disagree. Some agree, some disagree, right? Then I ask her. She's got experience. So again, going back to the original source. But if you keep going to your source and you have all of these questions, you should be questioning why you're following it. If you're not feeling any better, you need to ask yourself why you're following it, whatever it is. When you fully commit to something, I'm just talking about commitment. I'm not talking about going through the process of adaptation, acclimation. I'm just, when you are fully committed to something and you begin to experience a dissatisfaction within yourself, confusion, frustration within yourself, it's time to take a look at why you're there. I don't care if you're a Buddhist monk. If you're sitting up in the mountains in a cave, but your spirit is still unsettled, it's time to come up out of there. Obviously, I'm talking about you going through the process, you've had the conversations, you've followed whatever it is, and you've done all these things, but your spirit still feels out of sort. And I'm talking about an out of sort, whereas this is beyond a condition of what you do if you haven't been doing those things. You can fix it. If I go through some changes and I'm not connected there, I'm disengaged there. What else do I do? Right. So if I'm finding myself going back to what I once did to find resolve for a condition, right? That's a problem because that means I'm not connected somewhere in there. So if I'm doing all of this, if I tell myself that I'm committed, now I'm academically, intellectually connected, but my spirit is not connected, then this you're not even disengaged, because to be disengaged, you have to be engaged, right? Engaged and involved are two different things. A lot of people are just involved in religion. They're not engaged in religion. They're engaging the fellowship. They're not engaged in the content of the scripture. And when I say scripture, I'm talking about the Quran too, for those of you who choose to be biased because of my background in being Muslim, right? I'm still Muslim. A Muslim is one who submits to the will of the law, the will of God. Plain and simple. You're all Muslims. You just don't know what a Muslim is because you haven't studied. You haven't tried to understand your own religion, to understand what others are actually practicing. You'll hear Allah, you run and scream. Allah is an Arabic word. It means God. It's not a different God. It means God. Allah is God. But you don't know that because you've allowed somebody else to condition you to believe that this is this different God, right? That's the narrative. That's the narrative. That's the narrative that you find in the media. Oh, he's Muslim. Oh, he's going to do this to the way. He's going to blow us up. He's going to do this. Oh, they're just bad people. They're no good. They believe in this God that tells them to kill themselves. No, that's some idiot. That has nothing to do with Islam. That's idiocism. That's what that is. There's nothing in the Quran that even that permits the killing of oneself. There's nothing in the Quran that says that. But because you want to follow the narrative, right? And again, once again, you have family members who are Muslim. You're not Muslim. And look at how you interact with them based on the narrative. You know Joe. You've been around him all his life. But now that Joe is Muslim and not Christian as you wanted him to be, you treat him differently. Again, the mental health ramifications of ignorance about religion. You don't even know. And the same thing with the Muslim who comes along. Oh, it's Christmas. Nah, I ain't helping you with no tree. I ain't buying no tree. The tree doesn't have significance to you, but it has significance to the other person. You respect what it is that you're not practicing Christmas. You're practicing family. You're practicing humanity. Period. Tell me, show me where it's written. Yeah. I read the hadith. I know. So-and-so came and told so-and-so this. So-and-so said, well, who'd you hear that from? So-and-so said Blue from Billy. Well, you go back to Billy and you ask Billy where he got that information from. He go back to Billy. Well, Billy said, oh, well, I got it from John. Well, can you go back to John and find out where John got it from? And it goes back, right? It's the same thing when you have ministers and pastors and preachers who stand in front of you. And they give you this information. And you listen to the information. And it strikes a nerve somewhere, right? It raises a question. And instead of you going to ask the question, say, hey, can you show me where this is written? And a lot of people will say, well, I cited it when I was talking about it. Okay, well, we'll cite it again so I can go read it. And you don't have to go back to that person and say, hey, I read it and it didn't say such and such. You got a better understanding that's fitting for you. But that doesn't happen. And then if you articulate it to the same person who stood before you and said it, and they correct you and tell you you're wrong, walk away. There's no value in that leadership. There's no value in that leadership because that's not your role. That's not protecting your flock. You don't protect your flock by being demeaning, by degrading one, right? And for the Muslim, oh, well, we got to give our brothers dawah. It's our responsibility. No, brother, it's your responsibility. It's clearly written, save yourself first. You need to know what saving yourself looks like. That's what you need to know. What does it look like when you're saving yourself? What does it look like when you are saved and then can go back and help your family, save your family? If you can't save you, how can you save me? And I don't mean save for the Christians in the sense of the baptism. No. Whatever it is that you have chosen from a religious perspective to get your mind right, to get your house in order, right? That's what you're using to save yourself. Now, if you're not using it, that means if you're not applying it, if you're not using the values, the principles, the beliefs, if you're not using it on a daily basis, on a regular basis, moment by moment, in every situation of your life, you're going to fall short. I get that. But if you're not correcting the incorrects in your life, how are you going to correct anybody in your family, anybody in your house, anybody in the fellowship, anybody in the Ummah, anybody in the... How you going to do it? Because you're too busy walking around telling everybody else what they need to do to be good Christians, to be good Catholics, to be good Jews, to be good Muslims, to be good Buddhists, whatever. Right? You're too busy doing that. Right? So let me get to some of the article, and we'll follow back up next week, because this is a subject matter that's important. Because when you look at our society today and see the direction that we're going in and see all the things that's happening around us, everything is coming to full circle. All the sick, horrific things that are being done to us as human beings, mankind, period. We all are screwed. We're all screwed by materialism, by ignorance. I live every day to the best of my ability. I am prepared for death. Death is life. And when you continue to look at life and death as being two different things, and looking at death as being something that is hurried, no matter how you die, you won't know how you die in that moment, in this present self. If you're dead, you're dead. Now, I don't know what happens in the grave, about when you come to understand and you cross that threshold of death. I don't know that. But I do know that I am not going to live my life fearing death, when it in fact is part of life. If I'm living with the intent on going to this next place, because that's what I believe there's an afterlife. When I make that transition, I want to be prepared. I don't want to make the transition and enter into another soul, a vessel, with the condition that I came into this world with, that I have lived through this world with. So I spend my waking moments staying in a condition of remembrance, because it's a matter of remembrance, not just on Friday, not just on Saturday, not just on Sunday. Every moment is a matter of remembrance. I've been to hell. I can't go to hell. I've been to hell. Now the question becomes, okay, well, how did you wind up in hell? And you're still here. Who said hell ain't here? Where's heaven? But if you're reading, you would understand that. I talked about last week the term of get ye down from here. Well, if you're president of a company, right, and the board says you got to go, isn't that a lofty place? The board just told you we're going to take you down from here. And you're going to go there. Now, whether that there is out and on your own, or whether that here is down from here and at another level where you can continue to grow and build and correct and still lead, but just not from up here. Right? So it's a whole lot of things that you have to, you listen, you got to read for yourself and use the dictionary, right? I have a Quranic dictionary. I have obviously online you have all the other ones, but when I went to Islamic studies, right? I had my Quran, I had my notebook, and I had my dictionary, so I could look up words and see, because one Arabic word can have like 20 different meanings based on a whole lot of all this adjective, verb, now, all its different. I don't know how to say, but y'all know what I'm saying. So it's not just a noun. It's not just a verb. It's a pronoun when used in this sense. If you use it in this sense, well, this is what it actually means. This sentence means this and not that. So like those kind of things like that. So it's, you gotta, listen, you gotta take the time to learn for yourself. And for my friends who are now, I have a lot of pastors in my life, a lot. It's just amazing. And this particular pastor who was asked to perform a wedding because my wife at that time was Christian. He battled with doing so because, for one, he had issues with the fact that his brother was Muslim, and he saw his conduct as opposed to looking at his brother as a human being who just needed guidance, and it had nothing to do with religion, but it had everything to do with his lack of alignment with God. He'd rather see it from the perspective of Islam, right? So that was the first part of it. The other part of it was he felt he couldn't stand before the congregation, his flock, allowing them to know that he actually performed this ceremony. Again, the ignorance. This wasn't somebody this wasn't somebody part of my group, part of my circle. Everybody in my circle who's a Christian pastor was more than willing to do the ceremony, except this one. So there were many biases with him, and also the position that he took with my wife at the time. Again, your flock, you this is not literal. This is a responsibility you have. There's a lot of things that I see, with that whole relationship piece that is not proper. Right? We were in the church, and after him and I met, and he had called to, she was my fiance, and he called to her, come to me. I turned around, looked at her, come to you. I looked at him like, what do you mean come to you? Now, what if I called your wife and told your wife, come to me? How would you feel about that? That ain't your role. That's my woman. And he, of course, that just fed into, his already negative thinking. Like, you don't call her like that. That's my responsibility. I tell her, come to me. If I so desire to have her come, but you standing there right in front of me and you're saying to my fiance, my woman, come to me. Because he wanted us, he wanted us to all stand. I get that. But that's not your position. That's my woman. You don't tell another man's woman, I don't care who you are, to come to you. Right? But again, All the Christian pastors, all the Christian ministers that I knew, I called them. I didn't call all of them, but I went down my list to see who was available. And every last one of them was more than willing. I've been to interfaith weddings. Again, it's not everybody, but it's enough people who don't have that kind of dialogue and have that kind of understanding with humanity and humanity's guidance, and the foundation being in God. So that's what it comes down to. I don't have to, why should I have to say what you say and do what you do in order for me to be a part of anything? Current pastors that I know don't even treat me in that aspect. I go to church every now and then. You know, I support my family. I support, the word. I like hearing, the word. It's good for any and everybody. It's content. You do with it what you will do with it. I have no interest in religion, but it's the word. There's value in the word. The words are valuable. The words are value, character, guidance, if you so see it that way. But if you have a divisive mind, right, that's how you're going to see the world. And everything that happens is divine. You're not going to see anything through another lens. So, excuse me. There's a lot of work that has to be done. But what I tried to do this morning was to give you a damn headache. Yeah. My intent this morning was to guide you through the frustration that many people are experiencing who practice religion. And they have to fight with themselves as to whether they want to stay part of, right? Because then they look at the people, the other members, and I don't want to let, sister so-and-so down or brother so-and-so down, right? Well, I don't want to be seen as being a Catholic, an unbeliever, a shirker of my responsibilities and duties to God. I don't want to be seen in this negative light, so I'm going to go again. But look at what you experience when you're getting dressed to go to service. Look at how you feel when you're sitting in the environment, which is supposed to be uplifting your spirit. How uplifted is your spirit? These are the things that everybody has to begin to look at in every congregation, in every fellowship. You have to hold the ministers, the preachers responsible. There's things that go on in the home, in the individual, that go unaddressed. There's things that go on in the community that go unaddressed. All in the name of what? Being politically correct? Where's the separation? We're supporting people in political offices because the establishment says that's who we support. Who we? When you make that decision for me? I don't support that. Oh, what you mean you don't support that? Like, next you're going to be making the decision as to what drawers I should be wearing today. That's none of your business. My vote is my vote. It's none of your business who I vote for. But when we don't share the same thoughts as the other person, that's how you get treated. That's how you get treated. Tell me I'm lying. Go ahead. Tell me I'm lying. Listen, exercise your right, your freedom of speech. My comments are blocked. Tell me I'm wrong. Anybody, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how many times you sit up there and talk about brother so and so, sister so and so. Tell me. Tell us how often you do it. Because of you being in disagreement. It's not your business. Your business is to be the example, right? The Quran tells the Muslim that he or she should stand out amongst all others. And it doesn't mean by how you dress. That's what the Muslim is told. That's what is directed, commanded upon you. And if you are not standing out amongst all others, then there's a problem. You just look like a Muslim. That's all. You look like a Muslim. You look like you're Catholic. You look like you're Jewish. You look like a Christian. You look like a Buddhist. You look like, but you're not. Because you haven't made that commitment. Yeah, you took your Shahada. Yeah, you got dipped. But only God knows what was in your heart upon that action. Where your intentions were. Profess your faith, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jew. Did you choose it or did it choose you? You're emulating others, regurgitating their words. An unlearned mind is simply absurd. He is the knower, sees all that you do. Don't be superficial, to thy own self be true. You came into this world alone. Alone shall you go. A witness scribes your actions. There's no man to say it so. Free will he gave us. Praise him and save us. No time to waste. Death soon you taste. Oh, that's a song in case y'all don't know. But those are the lyrics to a song. Yeah. Lowly Ones. Listen to the song. Go to your favorite music streaming source and look up Lowly Ones by Spiro Link. Yeah. Look it up. No, I don't profess to know it all. I'm telling you about me. I'm telling you about my experience. And I'm telling you that I'm not alone. I'm telling you that when you see the ranks falling lower and lower and lower, when you see, the pews getting lower and lower and lower, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. As the leader or a member, ask yourself. Don't go talking negative about the person. You want to know? Go ask that person. They might tell you. They might be afraid to tell you because of embarrassment, because of fear, because of guilt, because of shame. Oh, not shame for not coming. A shame for not saying something earlier to all of y'all. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's a true fellowship. When people have the conversation, when people have the dialogue with one another, and they speak openly and honestly, that people are provided a platform for being able to do that. Because oftentimes when it goes from the member to just the pastor and or first lady, and first lady, right? Because it's got to go through the pastor, whoever the pastor is. So the first man, first lady, whoever is secondary to that, because you have the leader, and that's where it goes, because it's a hierarchical structure, right? But when you go, and so it's left there, it doesn't go to anybody else. But then you have all these other members who are just like sitting there feeling the same thing, and they're just leaving and not saying anything. And then you find them in the supermarket. You run into them. Hey, Miss Mary, how you doing? I ain't seen you. I ain't seen you in a minute. What, you haven't been in attendance? What's girl? Listen, I'm tired of it, and you part of that too. I'm just sick of it, right? I go through all this and all of that. Come to, and I get no help. All I get is pray about it, right? But meanwhile, I see this and I see that, and I see all these other favors. Yet I'm suffering alone. Oh, the list goes on and on. And you know it. And you don't think that that's affecting you mentally? You don't think that that's affecting a person mentally? You think when you ignore a person, you give everybody else a hug, but you skip Miss Mary because of your bias thinking towards her? Where is it written that you do that? Where is it? I'll never forget the day that I went to the Friday, I went to Juma. Right now, mind you, this had already been identified as a masjid that was a bougie masjid, uppity folk, right? I ain't gonna put the name out there on blast because they know who they are. Because anybody from Philly knows. Because everybody from Philly knows, right? And I went to the imam. He was the former resident imam. And I was talking. Well, I didn't go to him. We were just talking afterwards, and I was talking, and I told him my father had been murdered, and where my spirit was, with his death, because he had died that murdered that week, and the resident imam who just left from the podium was still present in the masala. So the outgoing imam went over to the incoming resident imam and spoke with him. I even saw him motion over towards to me, and I saw the imam, the incoming imam, look over at me, and like instead of he didn't wave his hand, he didn't nothing. He just listened to whatever that the outgoing imam was saying to him, and right, that was it. And and I remained in the masala for about another maybe 20-30 minutes, engaging others. This dude never said a word to me. Never said a word to me. Never said, brother, listen, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your father. May Allah bless him and grant him paradise. If there's anything you need, you want to talk or anything like that, listen, feel free. Nothing. Not a word. Not a word. And this wasn't no spring chicken. This wasn't some dude who just came around. But again, that's what the environment reeked of. And I got a chance to experience all of it firsthand, not just from that instance, but from other instances. Right? If you don't walk in the door and they act like you are the best thing since sliced bread, we are so happy to see you. God gave you this day too. Thank God to see you. If you don't feel that, run. It's pointless. I don't care what anybody tells you. If I am part of a fellowship, if I am part of an ummah, if I am part of a group and I am not received by every damn member in there like that, it's time to go. It's time to go. If you believe otherwise, it's up to you. You keep letting them look at you sideways. You keep letting them keep whispering about you in your face and away from your face. You keep letting them do that. You keep going in there feeling uncomfortable if you choose to. I choose not to because I don't have to. Because my masjid is right here. My church is right here. My synagogue, right here. Right here at home. Who's the leader? Me. In the story. Listen, we at the hour. But listen, we haven't even gotten into the article. We just got to the points, and I'm off and running from there. But I do want to read this quote here to the article. In the 2023 song, God Must Hate Me, Katie Turner writes, do you ever see someone and think, wow, God must hate me? Because he spends so much time on them and for me. Because he spent so much time on them and for me, he got lazy, got ample mental illness personality flaws. While their only flaws to be is that they have none at all. I don't know what I believe, but it's easier to think he made a mistake with me. I try to read that. But in all, it's saying that while their only flaws seems to be is that they have none at all. I don't know what I believe, but it's easier to think he made a mistake with me. Do you ever see someone and think, wow, God must hate me? Because he spent so much time on them, and for me. He got lazy, got ample mental illness personality flaws, while their only flaw seems to be is that they have none at all. Again, got to read it like a couple of times to understand it. You can't. It's not something you can just read yeah. So you understand. So everybody else seems to be getting it. They get this, they get that, and they seem to be blessed. Well, based on what? Based on who's thinking. But when you're part of a religion, again, I'm in the masjid. I've been a member for a minute. This dude never opened his mouth. The incoming imam, right? He only talked to certain people, only speak to certain people, right? Will walk right past you, right? Right? I mean, you have to be right there on him, but he wants you to speak to him first. The arrogance, the arrogance. Yeah, the arrogance, total self-centeredness, total selfishness. But you're a leader, and other people allow you to lead. For what reason? What do you have that people allow you to stand before them to guide them? Oh, snap. Financial supports. Yeah. You got some kind of status with somebody. You know somebody. You a coattail rider. Yeah. Yeah, you a coattail rider. So because you know this person and because you know that person and because you got some paper. Yeah, that's what it is. So we'll let you be in that position. And it's okay if you display those negative attributes. You know, those because they're not attributes of God. They're attributes of a man who is full of himself, who has not internalized the values, the beliefs, the empathy, the sympathy, who's not embraced the fact that they're but by the grace of God. Could be I. Hasn't realized that yet. Because things have superseded that commitment. That's what you see as being a blessing. I see people who have like physical disfigurements and things of that nature, man, and it hurts me to my heart. And that's what I say to myself. And God didn't, I didn't, I don't, I have, thank God, I don't, because I don't know. And I see and some of them, they stronger than me with those disabilities. I have a disability. I keep latching on to ignorance and allowing that to get into my mind. I keep latching on to hope from other people. And each time they fail because that's what man does. I wonder if he would have the same perspective if he lost his job. I wonder would he have the same relationships? I'm still talking about the daddy man. I wonder if he would have the same relationships with people if he lost his job. If he didn't have what it is that he has, that he think he has, that puts him in alignment with arrogance, puts him in alignment with the fallen ones. I would say more than likely, no. Because everybody around him in his circle is just like that. Listen, we are at the hour. It's we're going to get back to this article next week. We're going to get back to this article next week. But look at everything that's going on in this world, man. You can't believe anything. Nothing. Everything is made up in some capacity. It's like it's nothing but a Hollywood show. That's the condition that this world is in. That's the condition. That people have that kind of money that they control every aspect of our living except our spirit belongs to God. We have to get ourselves in alignment with God, whether it's from a religious perspective, whether it's from a spiritual perspective. These folks who are at the helm use everything: biology, psychology, psychiatrics, science, controlling everything, the weather, everything we eat, everything we breathe. And you want to sit down, you really want to argue about the fact that you think you're right because of something you read, because something they showed on the news, because something you saw in Facebook. Nothing is what it seems to be. The only thing that's real is God. It is He who makes possible what seems impossible. But you got to get in alignment, man. So you can really experience that, because it's one thing to say that I'm blessed because I woke up this morning. It's one thing to be thankful because I have another day above ground. What did I do with that day? You find $100. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. What did you do with that money? You didn't have it. Do you need it or do you want it? Because I'm sure on your way to that fast food restaurant, there's somebody out there with a cup. There's somebody sitting down on the ground, leaned up against the wall. Did you break them off? You're thankful to Jesus, to God, for you finding that $100 bill. And not a dime went to that homeless person. You came out of there with a Happy Meal and the bucket. The Happy Meal was for the kid. The bucket was for you. Well, damn. You couldn't get another bucket? and drop that off on your way out the door. If you it listen, I'm being literal in this, but I'm saying to you, did it cross your mind? Because there's also something called intention. You may not be there yet to do that. That's the literal sense of it. But do you think that way? Do you get home like, damn, dude, I see this dude right around the corner from us every day. He'd be out there. Did I drive by? I could have drove by there to see it. Matter of fact, I can get my car now, see if he out there today. Yeah. It's a matter of when do you start going through the process of grooming yourself with the guidance that you've got. But you got to read for yourself. And if literacy is a challenge for you, right, do your best. Right? I have the Quran, I have the entire Quran on my iPad. Right? YouTube has all kinds of stuff for whatever you practice. There's recordings and stuff available if you want to learn. Right? I'll put the Quran on sometimes and just go to sleep with and listening to it. Right? It's ways that you can begin to get yourself in alignment. This world is no help. It's no help. It's not designed that way to help you, man. This world is not designed for us to be healthy. This world is designed for us to be sick. That's what this world does. That's the purpose of everything in this world, to make you sick. It makes you so sick that there are racists out there that are tired of being racist and want to just kill themselves and just go along to get along and leave every damn body alone. That's how sick this world is. And if you think it's not, you're not paying attention, man. It's people who are just like abandoning a whole lot of other things because they see ain't none of this going to change. Ain't none of this is going to get better. What we experience in this world is a power far greater than all this stuff that you're shown. Listen, this thing is so big. It's so big, man. White House is a front. White House is a nonprofit organization. It's an organization. It's about business. It's not about human life. It's not about getting people better. It's not. It's not about creating better living for anybody. You know where it stopped? The home of the free and the home of the brave. Right? That's where it stopped. After that, those people who went out there and put their lives on the line and all this, the freedom we find here in this country, being able to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve in most cases, the freedom to be an entrepreneur, the freedom to be a doctor, the freedom to be president of the United States, and so on and so forth. To brave, you got to be brave to walk out of that door every day and deal with the stuff that you're dealing with, man, and not want to just, find yourself standing on a stool, on a cliff, on the side of the bridge. It takes bravery to do this. It takes bravery to live this life. It takes bravery to keep on going every day and not just lose your damn mind and snap. That's the free. That's the brave. We're all screwed. And if you don't think you are, stay tuned. Meanwhile, I will see y'all next Saturday, right? For another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always, Sabir Aline. It's just it's a deadly game, man. It's a game of cat and mouse that's played every day. You got to get your house in order. You got to get your house in order. It begins with you. We're going to get on top of this thing next week, man. This is just a thing. This is just a thing for me, man. That just trying to live right, man. Just trying to do the right thing. I click this off. Didn't need to click it off. This thing does what it wants to do sometimes. It's just a matter of, man, being able to go out there, live this life, do what it is that you got to do. Help others, man. Anything you can possibly do for other people, man. Just do it. Just do it. Don't make it about you. Make it about them. Because when you make it about them, it is about you. Because it's how you're seen by people. It's how people want to uh, get through their day with some kind of kindness attended to them. And I try to do my best, man. This show is part of my contribution. Um, it's scary. But anywho, I'm beginning to ramble. I'm tired. Um, y'all make sure y'all have a great day.
You say the streets are yours, house that's so when you
This is my new release.
That's yours.
It's the remix version of the song released 2-3 years ago, titled "Wet Floors." Y'all have a great one. I'm your host as always.
Brother. Playing this game, it's insane. The one who got you broke is probably your name. A game of fame, every man for himself. Personal gain, monetary wealth. Looking at a stretch a nickel, maybe more. The homie gave you up, staying free for sure. Getting to the top, being in charge. Once a foot soldier, outside. Moving up the ranks, wanna be top dog. Putting in the work, no loyalty law. No remorse, but they want a status. Wetting up bodies, messy bad habits.
Wet floors.
Messy bad habits. You say the streets are yours, house that's so. When your homies with floors, with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day, calling him brother.
Gotta stop this violence, man.
You say the streets are yours, house that's so. When your homies with floors, with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day, calling him brother. Calling him brother. Holes in your pockets, but there's a full. Your family's without you. Your woman they pull. Low down and dirty. This game you play. You learn the truth when you go away. Books empty, bills behind your back. They plotting, soon she'll be mine. You was down to what it was. Better I have her now, cause the dogs friends to the end. Fucky, no dogs running, yeah, puppy. Street life is lucky, getting through we say lucky. It's just what you really strove for. To the ground you dove for. Stick up boys, they come for. Shots fired, homie made more. Remember that? Yeah. Homie made more. How's that? Huh? You say the streets are yours, house that's so. When your homies wet floors, with blood that's yours. Spilled on the daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother.
Don't forget,
you say the streets are yours, house that's
a lean for you.
With floors, with blood that's yours.
Get your merchandise. AleanForYou.net. That's 4, the number 4. You. ALIM number 4, letter U.net.
Want fame and fortune, even glory at the end of this game. Just another yard story. Funky, funky, canteen junkie, you a donkey. Just another research monkey. Make a decision. Life or death, what's your vision? Having faith or vest? Chasing paper was the mission. Now it's 6x6 you're living. Liberties you're missing. All the time you've done. No woman his flesh to feel. Get outside or be done. Your life is what you make it. Quit the game, be free. Be true to yourself, not your enemy. Not your enemy. You say the streets are yours, house that's so when your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Still on the daily by one another. See him the next day, common brother. You say the streets are yours, house that's so when your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Still on the daily by one another. See him the next day, common brother. You say the streets are yours, house that's so when your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, common brother. Common brother. Common brother. Common brother. Hey, I'm your host as always, Severe Lee. I'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Be safe. Peace.